Hello everybody, Andrew Casey at Hypersanity Books. Today I'll be taking a look at Stan Lee with some of the things that he's created, different writing suggestions. Otherwise, let's just get into it. Number 10. Put yourself first. The number one advice that Stan Lee gives is to put yourself first with whatever you're creating. Doesn't matter what route you take, what company you work for, starting your own business, self-publishing, traditional publishing, hybrid publishing. There's an infinite amount of options to take. But you have to put yourself first, and the others who will enjoy your work will come. Number 9, 1941. In August 1941, Stan Lee's first superhero creation, the Destroyer. The next following year, he was deployed in with the US Army. Back to his career with comics, he worked on a lot of different comics over the years. From this point onwards, he created over 60 superheroes and over 300 characters within his career. Trying to find how many comics he was involved with to be published, I can't find a definitive answer on that. Number 8. DC Comics and Marvel Comics. So it's a bit of a surprise that Stan Lee did work for two of the biggest companies, especially as far as comics are concerned. He did work a little bit with DC Comics. There were other comics that were made, like the Wizard of Oz comic. He mostly just gave different advice and opinions to create the comic book adaptation. This is one of the projects where Marvel and DC worked together. You can have different companies fund a project and work with a variety of different people to create the work of art. Stan Lee did a little bit of work on that. He also did some freelance work with DC Comics, mostly creating other characters to help with the flow of the story, because if you do look at the different characters between Marvel and DC Comics, it is a little bit of a competition between creating similar characters. And after all, there are options that you might have in your writing journey, your writing career, to take multiple pathways. You don't have to just be tied down to a job.
I got a Razzie Zazzy for Bang.
It's Bane! You know it's Bane! I'm here every day, Todd. Goddamn millennial.
Number 7. 10 questions to ask yourself. So if you were doing something like X-Men have the series where it's a school of mutants, you have the Harry Potter franchise, what would you do to create something similar but stand out in a unique way amongst the rest? One of the suggestions he gives is 10 questions about that particular point, and it gives you something to go back to when you write out 10 questions to ask yourself, what is it going to take for that one character to stand out amongst the rest? Number 6. Stan Lee's favourite tritagonist. Fantastic Four was one of the popular comics, and his publisher, he had many publishers at the time working with Marvel. There was a lot of people to collaborate with. One thing that was asked about doing up another superhero franchise, and he thought, well, there's all these different powers and all these different things, so how can you simplify a complicated topic? So creating the mutant side of it, it allowed different powers and abilities to change between characters to have that diversity within the story, though the emphasis on the Professor Xavier character, he is the tritagonist usually with all of the comics, and from there he pictured himself as that character leading the other characters. Usually Wolverine is the protagonist within that genre, and other characters work in different ways, though they have qualities of being a protagonist as well as to what a superhero franchise is. With Professor Xavier being the tritagonist of that story, it worked well when he then did the adaptation from that to Nick Fury with the Avengers. Number 5. Stop comparing yourself to others. One of the big points that he means by this, you will work in with different people throughout your career with different levels of experience. Like with Robert Kiyosaki, talks about having his own lawyers, business people, you have accountants. And sometimes you might learn a little bit of how to speak to each person's profession. And that's something that Stan Lee was grateful for, because of a lot of the different characters that he wrote over the years. It then helped from one form of the comics and how they eventually seasoned over time and became better. And then that also helped for other adaptations, working with different people. But the big point, don't compare yourself to everyone else.
Well, I was editor, art director, and head writer, and I kept doing that for about 20 more years.
How many writers do you employ?
Oh, we have quite a few now. We must have between 8 and 12 writers, but we publish about 40 comic books a month. We hire the very finest writers obtainable today. We have writers who are ex-professors, who have written television shows, who are science fiction writers. A lot of them love comics so much that this is their main work, and in their spare time they do other forms of writing. In fact, I've often thought if Shakespeare and Michelangelo were alive today, it's very possible at some time or other they might collaborate on a comic strip. Wouldn't anybody admit that the product of their collaboration would be a very worthwhile work of art?
Though work in with different people from different professions, there are people who will do other jobs that might be seemingly more of a contribution to society. Though Stan Lee also appreciated the artwork that he did and how a lot of people enjoy it and have that break from reality. So whatever you're doing in life, enjoy your process and just cut out the noise, but please stop comparing yourself to other people where they are at on their writing journey. Number 4, Stan Lee's biggest risk. You take risks in life, and with this particular risk, it was to make Spider-Man happen. His publisher asked for a new superhero. This was after a 21-year career, and the superhero he came up with was Spider-Man. His publisher rejected it because you can't create a superhero because people hate spiders. Teenagers are supposed to be adults, not teenagers. Teenagers are sidekicks. And then the third problem was, you're going to give the superhero personal problems? Don't you know what a superhero is? In the last issue of Amazing Fantasy, it was a done magazine, so he put in the issue for Spider-Man to be advertised. With this particular risk, he was also warned, because you're always held with your job. And that's one of the things you need to keep pushing. And it was one of the biggest conversations that he had with his wife, because he wanted to create this hero. So this was after Fantastic Four and the success with X-Men. He wanted to take this risk. And if it came to, and he was going to get fired, he could go elsewhere or go with setting up his own business.
Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic. So, okay, I had my hero, I had his power, his name. Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. It wasn't selling well, and we were sending the last issue to press. When you do the last issue of a magazine, nobody cares what you put in it because the book is dying. My publisher came racing into my office. Stan, you remember that character we both loved so much, Spider-Man? If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it.
Number 3, The Girl Who Got Away.
One day I found out she got married. I had blown it. I had missed my window. I went on with my life. I created some special new superheroes. They were characters that reflected my own heartbreak and my own regret.
She really meant that much to you?
Brody, I'd give it all up. All of it. For just one more day with her. Hey, I think he bought it.
Yeah? What kind of story did you give him?
Oh, it was the Vulture soliloquy, from the Spider-Man anniversary issue, Love, Be a Vulture Tonight. But, I think you ought to get him some help. He seems to be really hung up on superhero sex organs.
No, that was not based on his personal life. It was what he saw from other people who were obsessed with being a workaholic, obsessed with certain goals, different entertainment, and they allowed their life to get consumed by their own selfishness to lose that. with that right balance, that's something that Stan Lee always thought about, was having that right work-life balance. And there were times where he was working so hard where you don't have that quality time with your family, and then there are other times where you have more quality time with your family and take a step back from work. Number 2, 20/20 hindsight. One of the big things that Stan Lee talked about with his career is the 20/20 hindsight. Should've, could've, would've, taking a different path. And that's something to think about. You might have opportunity present itself. I had a traditional publisher ask with Dark Sparrow, they put an offer forward, and with this company I had to say no because of the drastic changes. The book may have came out further, it may have been adapted into a film. I wasn't ready for that. I needed to find my own writing journey. And with Stan Lee, there are certain opportunities that he took, though with a lot of his copyrights and other things that he made, no, he doesn't own a lot of them. Though it was one way of pushing different characters forward, like the Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man, Avengers. But those big risks are what you do with that agreement to use other people's money or use a business to create and push your artwork out. Though sometimes you just have to think about what feels right for you with your career. And there are some moments where he wish he did things differently. Should've, could've, would've, though try not to live with any regrets with your writing journey. Just keep learning from them and pursue another day. Number 1, empathy.
And I said to myself, I'm playing it the whole, nobody's going to play the part but me. I got so excited. I didn't even sleep the night before.
One thing I'll say with doing this video and looking into more of Stan Lee's career, I have also tried not to paraphrase everything. I've taken from different sources, different media outlets, different interviews, mostly interviews that he's personally done, to break the information down. One thing I'll say within this video, with any paraphrasing, I'm trying not to put too much of myself into his words. They are just different suggestions that we do within this channel to help with your writing journey. With Stan Lee, one of the biggest things that I found with a lot of the characterizations that he's done, other people that he's interviewed and based characters off real people as well, through a lot of the different experiences, there is a bigger appreciation. All said, that's it for today. I'd like to thank my son, Lazarus Payne Casey, for suggesting this video. I love you. Stan Lee is his favourite author, besides myself. You know, I'm his dad. That all said, that's it for today. Hit like, subscribe, comment. I'll be posting more videos about writing tips, different specific questions that you may have. Please put them in the comments below, or you can email me, andrewcasey@hypersanitybooks.com. And remember, with your writing journey, you do not have to do it alone. Just find the right balance with who you need to work in with. And I'll see you all next time.